this is a good group this morning. A lot of energy. This is going to be fun. So just want to get started to be respectful of everybody's time. So welcome to our weekly FEBE that we meet here every Wednesday from 10 until 11. And just want to remind you all that our Global Entrepreneurship Week is next week. We have Mike Polk that will be here on Monday. So if you're interested and haven't got tickets, it's free, but we still are asking that you register on Eventbrite just so we have an understanding of how many folks will be attending. Tuesday is a big day because that's when we're having our business expo and food trucks. And on Wednesday, we have the Hungry Bee catering company will be here for FEBE. And in the evening FEBE, we have veteran-owned businesses. So Diane Helbig's here today from Seize This Day, and she's going to talk about how to get things ready for an expo or a trade show or, you know, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to turn things over to Diane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Listen, I know it's sort of crummy outside, and many of us didn't get much sleep last night, but we're all together now. Right? So I appreciate spending some time with you guys today talking about this subject. By a show of hands, who's exhibiting next week? Awesome. Okay, very good. So, yeah, right, exactly.
And those that are not, they still can.
You still can. So after we've talked about this and you've gotten really energized about, you know, how great it is, then you'll go on the website, you'll register. I do have a couple of quick housekeeping things. There's a handful of these on the tables. If it's, and you're going to hear me talk about these in a minute, but if at some point you want to fill one out, feel free to. There are also these sleeves, business card sleeves. You can feel free to take one or more and put them on the back of your cell phone. They're great for carrying business cards around when you're at the expo next week and you want to put your business cards in things. I'm also going to be showing you some examples of things. I have some copies if you want, you know, copies of them so you can duplicate them. Just, you know, let me know. They'll be up here. So, exhibiting at a trade show or a conference or whatever it is really valuable as long as you plan for it. So there are really three aspects we're going to talk about today. The first one is pre-work. The second one is day of. And the third one is follow-up. All critically important if you're going to take the time and sometimes spend the money, because, you know, not all trade shows are free to exhibit at. If you're going to do these things, you want to make sure you're getting something out of it, right? Okay. So the pre-work goes like this. Decide why you're going to exhibit. And what I mean by that is, what do you want to get out of it? Okay? It could be exposure. It could be email addresses for your email list. It could be sign-ups for an event that you've got going on. It could be resources who can help you grow your business. There's all kinds of reasons why, and you can have more than one, but you want to know why you're going to be there, because that why is going to help you create your strategy for while you're there, okay? A lot of people show up, they don't have a plan, they don't have a reason why they're there, and so they just sort of stand there, right? Or sit there, which we're going to talk about, and it's a problem, all right? And then they don't get anything out of it, and then they feel really bad, and they just spent a whole day, and they spent money, and, you know, on and on. So we're not going to do that, okay? Now, when you decide why you're going to do it, and you've decided that you're going to do it, part of your pre-work is to let people know you're going to be there, okay? Give people a reason to stop by and see you. So many times what we do is we say, yeah, I'm going to exhibit at this thing, and then we never think to tell people that we're going to be there, because we figure once they're there, they'll walk by our booth. Well, you have a bunch of contacts. You have clients, you have associates, you have people you network with, you know, you have all these people here, you have people you interact with. Let them know and say, stop by my booth. If you're going to do a giveaway, let people know that and say, stop by my booth and enter to win, you know, whatever it is. communicate with people because you want to draw that sort of energy to you, right? Okay. So now it's the day of, and you're showing up and you're getting ready to put all your stuff out, okay? So part of knowing why you're there also informs, I feel like I make noise every time I go over there, informs what you bring with you. So if you want people, if you want to gather email addresses, you have choices. You can have a form that they fill out, like a list that they sign up for. You can have something like I have here that they can fill out and then they can put in a jar. Maybe you do a giveaway for this kind of thing. You can have them give you their business card. If it's a business expo sort of thing, they can put them in a fishbowl and you can put them on your email list, okay? You want to make sure you've thought that through and you've got that. If you're going to do some sort of a giveaway, you want to make sure you have some sort of signage that says this is what we're doing and there's a place for people to register to win, whatever it is, and that you can talk about, when you're going to do it. Are you going to do it at the end of the show? Are you going to do it afterwards and contact people? What are you going to do? Thinking these things all the way through. It's having a plan and a strategy for how you're going to maximize your participation in this, okay? If you want to have some sort of tchotchke that you give away, do it. You prepare ahead of time because it takes a while to have things made, but go ahead and do it. And one thing that's really valuable is to have a question that you can ask people when they come to your booth, so you can identify relatively quickly if they're just there to get the thing or if they actually want to talk to you. Because there's all kinds of people who show up at these things, right? There's the people who are just going around collecting all of the goodies. There's people who want to enter all of the contests. There's people who are actually interested in learning about what you do. And there's people who, frankly, probably want to sell to you. And they're walking around, okay? These are the realities of trade shows and of exhibiting. So you want to have a question that you can ask. It can be something like, have you ever used a service like ours before? Gives you a little bit of insight, okay? Are you doing any pre-planning? Depending on what you do, okay? How are you taking care of your books, right? Do you have a system in place? Are you using somebody for that? You're allowed to ask those questions because you're exhibiting, right? So you want to think about, based on what you do, is there a question you can ask just to get a feel? Because you only want to be talking to the people who want to be talking to you. And a lot of times what we do is we spend a lot of our time talking to the person who just wants this or wants their passport stamped, right? Because we think, I got them, I'm going to talk to them. Don't, please. Because you want to get to the other people. And you're going to miss the other people because you're talking to somebody who. And let them take them. If you don't want just anybody walking up and taking your pen or your thing, don't put them out, okay? Because you'll spend all your time trying to, be a goalie and keep people away from your stuff, okay? Forget it, let them have it. First of all, you want them to have it because then you're in front of them all the time. So even if they weren't interested then, someone else might see it and go, oh, that's interesting, who's that? Okay? Now, here's one of the most important things about day of. Stand in front of your table. Not behind it. Don't sit behind it. Put your cell phone away. Make eye contact with people. Put your hand out and shake their hand. Thanks for stopping by my booth. Is there anything I can answer for you? Any questions I can answer for you? Have you used this kind of service? See what I mean? You have to be proactive. So many times what we do, we set up the table, we stand behind it, and we sort of, look on our phone, hoping someone will stop by. Why would someone stop by? You look like you're busy, right? You want to be out there. You want to be engaging with these people. You want to, see people walking by and say, hi, how you doing? Would you like a pen? Or, maybe if you have candy on it or whatever, come on over. What some people do is they put a laptop up and they have a video playing. that's about their business, so that if they're talking to somebody, there's still information about their business being shared. You can do that kind of thing, okay? So you can have, like I have a tablecloth that has my logo on the front of it, okay? You can have that kind of thing. You can have signs that pull up behind it. It's my opinion that if you're just starting out, you don't necessarily need all of those things. You do need a strategy. You need a plan for what do you want to get out of this thing. Why are you doing it, okay? And one of the biggest reasons you're doing it is to meet people. So if it's out of your comfort zone, okay, but you got to stand in front of that table and you got to meet people, okay? I mean, if you think about it, why are they there? They're there to find out who's exhibiting. They're there to learn something, okay? So let them know, okay? Now, who has a 30-second introduction?
Nobody wants to get called on.
I'm not going to call on ya, maybe. But so if I said, who has a 30-second pitch, would you guys have raised your hand? Like, does that then make sense to you? Okay. It's not a pitch. It's not a commercial. It's an introduction, okay? And what we do is we create this really fancy, very canned thing that we're going to say with big words, and depending on what industry we're in, acronyms. And someone walks up and says, so tell me about, and we give them this bit, and they've stopped listening, right? Like 2 words into it, okay? They've totally stopped listening because it just doesn't, it's not natural. It's not, okay? So I have a trick for you. She goes everywhere with me now. I'm never alone. This is my daughter. Isn't she pretty? Charlotte, do you remember her when she was a little girl at Temple? Okay. So, okay? Her name's Macy. She's 17. Do your 30-second introduction as if you were talking to her. See, she even says, hi, what do you do? Which is a terrible question. But anyway, don't ask it, but if someone asks you, explain what you do in 30 seconds as if you were talking to a 17-year-old. They're not a little child, right? You're not going to really dumb it down, but they're not in the business world either. So the way you're going to have that conversation is more natural. Or, if not my daughter, then a family member, a younger family member, okay, who you haven't seen in a while, who's going to say, so what are you up to these days? You're not going to go into your big fancy, buttoned up thing. You're going to say, well, I hang out with small business owners. They talk, they tell me what's going on, what the challenges are that they're having, and I work with them to figure out ways to get rid of those challenges, and then I stay with them while they go ahead and they work on that, and I'm there as a guide. Do you know what I do? Am I guiding small businesses? I'm hanging out with small businesses, talking about their challenges, right? Now, if you don't get it, it elicits a question. Okay? But it's totally natural. I'm not saying I do strategic planning with mid-level, business owners who blah, 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 but, in all industries and blah, 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 because no one cares. All right? It should be a conversation. Okay? What is it? I keep my clients out of jail, right? That's really cute. She's a CPA. I know you don't. You don't. I think Bob sometimes does.
Yes.
Okay. So.
I don't like that one.
I know you don't. I know. But, it's sort of cute. But so, you want to be careful about being a little too on the cute side. But think about what you do and think about explaining it to someone who is just a human, okay? And communicate in human speak. Because remember, the reason why you're doing this trade show is to make connections with people. Connections that you will then take with you, right? You got to be you. You just got to be you. Don't try and be some, people don't like it. And they're not going to trust you if you're trying to be somebody else. Okay? And then we have the follow-up, right? You've done something to capture people. You've taken their email addresses so you can put them on your list. You've had a giveaway of something. Maybe you've done, so these are just examples. You know, this is just a flyer that I had on the table last week when I was doing something, and it just says a little bit about my company. It's got my contact information, and it says, let's talk, schedule your complimentary 30-minute phone consultation today, okay? So it's something that I give. It's also on that little card. It's something that I give away. So it's a giveaway sort of thing. People can take this off my table. They can go back. They can go to my website, and they can do that, or they can fill out one of these, and then I'll get in touch with them. The point is, you know, remember we said, know why you're there, have a plan for it, gather that contact information, and then have a plan for what you're going to do with it, because one of the worst things that happens is you spend all that time at a trade show, you gather all that information, and then you go about your business, and all of a sudden one day you reach in the bag that they gave you, and there's all these business cards or all these forms or, you know, something, and you haven't done anything with it. That was a total waste of time, right? You have to act, okay? So make a decision about what are you going to do. If it's gathering email addresses, get them into your system as quickly as you can, okay? If it's reaching out to people, within a week, you should be reaching out to them, thanking them for stopping by your booth, okay? And telling them, you know, whatever that follow-up is. Now, here's a tricky thing. Some people think that exhibiting is really great because they can buy the list, or then they get the list of the attendees. Okay. But if they haven't stopped by your booth, don't reach out to them and say, thanks so much for stopping by my booth. Because they're going to know they didn't. Okay? And you're going to look like an idiot. Okay? You're trying to, right? Good impression. You want people to know that you're really connecting and that, you know, you're really sincere. So I personally don't think the list of attendees does you any good, because it's cold. You're just reaching out to people blind. What you really want is people coming to your booth. You want to be engaging with them somehow, and those are the people you want to be following up with, where you can say, thank you so much for stopping by my booth. If you had a conversation with them, you want some sort of method to be able to mark who you had conversations with, because you're not going to remember. And once again, you don't want to say to somebody, I really enjoyed our conversation, when all they did was stop by and drop their business card in your bowl, right? I'm going to tell you about an experience I had. I went to a convention, and there was a booth, a cell phone company, and they had a bunch of people work in the booth. They had men and women work in the booth. They were giving something away if you sat there and had conversations with them. So anyway, I went in, I wanted to see what it was. And I was talking to one of the guys, you know, we were having this conversation, took my contact information, whatever. About 2 weeks later, which is a little long, about 2 weeks later, I get an email from a woman who says, it was so great meeting you at the convention. I really enjoyed our conversation. And I thought, that's so funny. Pretty sure it was a guy, right? I mean, like, I remember the conversation, right? Okay, you are going to be talking to a whole lot of people. The attendees are going to be talking to fewer, okay? They're going to remember who they talked to. So if you, like, are going to do a booth with someone else, keep the business cards separate. Keep you know, a method for knowing who you have talked to and who they have talked to. And don't just divvy up the business cards and go, okay, get in touch with them, because people are going to know, right? So when we talk about why are you there, you're there to gain exposure for your business, to make contacts. You're not there to sell. You're not there to get a brand new client that day. You're there to start the process of relationship building with people so that you can get to know them and they can get to know you, okay? So you want to make sure your entire process works toward relationship building and trust. And so you have to always be thinking about, is this something that's going to have them trust me or not, okay? Does this make sense? Okay. So when we think about it, you know, if you haven't already started, starting today You want to be asking yourself the question, why am I doing this? What do I want to get out of it? Okay? Now, what do I need to do to make sure I'm ready for that? And plan ahead. One of the worst things in the world is the morning of an event trying to get all your stuff together for it. Trust me, I know. Okay? Do it the day before. Have a checklist so you're sure you have everything that you need. Okay? Get there early, get set up, get comfortable, meet the other exhibitors, right? I think there's even going to be an opportunity for the exhibitors to meet each other. Okay? Do it with an eye toward learning about them, not telling them about you. You know, this is not a sales meeting. It's marketing. Okay? And marketing is about exposure. So you just want to have conversations with people, and you want to learn about them and what's going on with them. Okay? Have your plan, create everything you need for it. The day of, be totally present. Put your cell phone away. Stand in front of your table. Okay? Don't sit. Wear comfortable shoes, because you're going to be standing for a while. And engage with people, right? And have that question that you can ask. I'm going to do a little work on that in a minute, right? And what's the takeaway? What's the after for these people? How are you going to stay engaged with the ones who want to stay engaged? It's another reason why I don't like getting a list, because those people did not say they wanted to keep you in their orbit, right? But you're going to be there. It's not good. You don't like it when people do it to you. Don't do it to them, right? You sort of want to think about it like, when I go to trade shows, what do I like? I like the people who are nice, not pushy, right? But are pleasant, smiling, say hello, happy to be there, right? Now, I'm going to say one last thing, and then I want to ask you guys a question, and then I'm open to questions. And my last thing is this. If you are going to have someone work your booth either with you or for you, make sure they're a really good representation of your business, right? Don't have someone do it who doesn't want to be there, because that will be obvious to all the people around there, and it's really not good. You'd be better off not having your table, right? If you can't have someone be there who's going to be as enthusiastic about your business as you are, who's comfortable standing in front of the table and smiling and putting their hand out and just talking to people, you know, because they radiate that they don't want to be there. And that's a reflection on you, okay? Okay, so I'd like you to do a little something for a minute, and that is think about that question that you would want to ask to start engaging with someone who stops by your booth or your table to help you start a conversation, but also identify whether they're just passing through or whether they're really interested in learning more about what you do, okay? And then whoever's brave enough, I'd love it if you'd share that question. Bill.
Wait 1 second.
Oh,
Gotta mic it.
we gotta mic it.
Like maybe one question would be like, what brought you here?
Okay, good. It's a great opening question, right? It actually could give you a sense of why they're actually at the event, right? Won't necessarily tell you why they've stopped at your booth, but it is a good starting question because you get some insight into what it is about the event that they're interested in, so.
So for us, I said, are you familiar with the Neo LaunchNet?
Okay, great, right. So they're going to say, yes, I've heard of it. Great. Are there any questions I can answer for you about it? Do you come to, have you been to any of our events? There's follow-up questions that you can ask, right? Derek.
With my business, it's pretty easy. I ask them if they've ever tried virtual reality, and that usually gets the conversation going pretty easily for me.
That's great.
So.
Okay, so stop for a second. Does everybody know what you do?
I think a lot of the people here know what I do, but we do property imaging and virtual reality property tours. And so it's, yeah.
So it's a great conversation starter, right? Bill, would you give it back to Bill? Bill, tell everyone what you do because, that's also, part of all this.
Well, I help people plan for the future and take care of the things that they need in the present day.
Excellent.
Financial planning.
Financial planning. Awesome. Who else wants to share their question?
Okay, well, I have a specific product geared to the young woman getting married.
Okay.
So my first question would be, well, so are you getting married soon? And if it's an older person, oh, is there a wedding coming up in the family?
Awesome. Awesome. See, are you going to walk this around? Thank you. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Then she gets some insight into whether they're actually interested in, this, or they're just curious about her business, whatever, because they'll respond with what, and then she knows where they're at from a prospect standpoint.
Mine is, have you ever been to a chiropractor before?
Okay, good.
That's a good lead in for me, because if they say yes, I can lead them into how my type of chiropractic care is different. If they say no, then I can ask them questions if they have any symptoms that would lead them to us.
Excellent, right? So interestingly, an interesting question that's a little scary is if you say, have you ever visited a chiropractor before, and they say yes, then you say, how was that experience?
I personally ask them that which usually
Right. Because then it gives you some idea of, some people, it's so funny. I was at one of these things, and someone said, well, when someone calls and they say to me, I want to know about your stuff because I'm paying too much with my current, vendor, like alarm bells go off in his head, right? Because what does that mean, too much? Like what? Were you paying too much when you started, or did they raise your prices? Or, it leads to all these, you want to know, is this someone who doesn't value, or who's never going to be happy? Is it someone who, that's just chiropractic and they just don't get it, right? So yeah, asking those questions, getting them to talk about what their experience is. Who else?
Mine's pretty easy. I just ask, how many servings of fruits and veggies have you had today? And most people will say, none or one or two. And it's like, what's our government recommendation? And they don't usually know that either. So that leads right into what my product will do for them.
Awesome. Okay. Wonderful. Who else? Yes. Gotta wait for the microphone.
Hello, everyone. Have you ever been to a wellness salon and spa?
Ah, that's a good question, too. See, right? Because some people are going to say, what is that? And some people are going to say, yes, I have. And then you get to say, how was that, where, right? How was that experience? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? It just leads into that conversation. Awesome.
For that. I haven't actually asked that question before.
You haven't?
You just made me do it.
I am so powerful. It is amazing. Okay. And then I want to hear how it goes. It's just going to be so much better, right? Because seriously, think about it for a minute. I mean, does anyone want to be brave enough to say what they've done in the past? Misty.
Hi, how are you?
What, is that what you've done in the past, or is that what you're going to do?
No, that's what I've done before.
Yeah.
Hi, because I just like to talk to people. So I need a little more purpose behind it.
Let me help you.
Yeah. See what I mean? So this is so great. So when we say, hi, how are you? And they say, fine.
Conversation's over.
Pretty much. I don't even think you can call that a conversation.
The quiz is over.
Exactly. This is a one-question quiz, right? Yes.
So I don't do this personally. Maybe back in my initial expo trade show days I did, but some of my newer employees are doing this. They're standing there, they're standing in front of the table, they know that they have these questions to ask, and I have to show you because everybody's seen it before. Somebody walks up to the table, so I'm the visitor. Somebody walks up to the table and there's some freebies, and they walk up and they're like this, like waiting for somebody to talk to them, and here's the person that's working for you. Say something. That's the worst one ever. Like, I get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to overstep because I pay them on commission for getting leads at these, but like I'm standing there and I'm like, say something, and they're just like looking at them like,
Yeah.
just saying, don't do that.
So this is
Please.
such a good point that you want to make sure that you are preparing the people who are going to be with you, that you are preparing them so they know what you expect of them, and you're helping them with what is this question that they're going to ask, because they don't know, right? I mean, you just don't know. That's a great idea. You're right. Booth placement, you got to get there, you got to see how it's laid out, you got to pay attention, you got to be prepared. If you have bad booth placement, you got to do something with that. Exactly. Because what do? We stand there, we complain about it, and then there's blame. Okay, you know what? Forget it. You're there for a reason. Get out there, meet people, walk around. This is why having a reason, sometimes like having a reason for people to stop by your booth is really, really great, doing some sort of a giveaway, because you're getting people a reason to be there, and then you can ask the question. Hi, how are you isn't going to get you anywhere. It could be a start, right? Hi, how are you? What brings you here today, right? Have you ever used a service like ours? So you don't have to, are you in the market for a house?
How about a career in real estate? Have you considered that?
Okay. If you don't feel comfortable asking, really pointed questions, which I think are great, but if you don't feel comfortable, then think of that question that's a little more, this is a great question. Have you ever been to a wellness spa and salon, right? Wow, that was really, no Alzheimer's here. Right? So it's a great question. It's a yes or no question, but it gives you someplace else to go. So you want your question to give you someplace else to go with them after they answer it. See what I mean? That's why hi, how are you doesn't, unless they go, well, let me tell you. Had a really awful night last night, right? Exactly, right? Who else has a question they want to throw out there and see if it's good? Chris.
Is there a value of just collecting business cards? Because I wonder if just getting random people to put their name or fill out a sheet, if there's actually a benefit there. Maybe it depends on your business that you're in, but I just wonder if there is just grabbing business cards and then putting them on an email list, if that would do me any good. For me being an attorney, I just don't know if there's a benefit there.
So my answer is it's really tricky. So I think you should say to people, if you'd like to sign up for our newsletter, okay, do it here, right? Or if you're going to do it as an entry to something, say, if you sign up for our newsletter, we'll enter you in this contest or this drawing. You can unsubscribe at any time. And the reason why I say that is you don't want people on your email list who don't want to be there. So first of all, you don't want to put them there. This is my opinion, based on years of experience. You don't want to put them there if they didn't say they want to be there, because it's presumptuous and it's rude, and people get enough email that you don't want to be the person doing it, okay? And you know it because you're getting them, right? So ask permission, and because you only want the people who said they want it, because they're the ones who are going to open it. Those other people are just going to unsubscribe. So what did you do? You annoyed them, and you're not in front of them. Well, you're in front of them in a bad way, right? So business is, it's about relationship building and trust and permission. And so I do think what you should be doing is having a way to get that information from the people who want to be engaged with you, okay? And the way that you do that is by asking, by having a way for them to do it, by having a list and having a sign on your table that says, feel free to sign up for our newsletter. And you can even say what's in it, right? So that I think is good. I think collecting business cards, I have to tell you, like when I do giveaways and stuff, or if I'm speaking and I'm going to raffle off my books and so I have a basket, I always say, you can have your business card back when we're done doing the drawing, because I'm not going to do anything with them, okay? So here you go. They're going to go in the garbage, or you're going to take them back. Because I'm not, I get it that people realize that they're being put on a list. I'm not putting you on my list. That builds a lot of trust, because I'm thinking about you, not me, right? I'm not trying to impose myself on you. It matters, especially in this environment where it is competitive and people are overwhelmed by people trying to impose themselves on them. Be different. Be the person who really wants to build the relationship. So, does that answer your question? Did you want to weigh in on that, or did you change your mind?
No, it's kind of against some of the things you're taught.
What is against some of the things you're taught?
Some of the things you're taught is you collect information, you automatically put them on your list. A lot of times I do ask, sometimes, I don't remember if I asked or not, I stick them on there. But you're right, it comes off as rude, so you kind of really need to pay attention to that.
I'm here to change the
You
world.
you don't want that bad image reflecting on you.
Right, and we just don't realize it, right? And that's why I'm saying this to you, that we are taught, get those business cards, put them on your list, they can get off the list if they want to, but we don't stop and think, okay, but what kind of impression am I making on people, right? What am I doing? And you know, because people are doing it to you, and you don't like it. Yeah.
So I have a comment on the business cards. I have a horrific memory, and so I need that business card if I talk to someone and I take the business card, because I then look them up on LinkedIn. And so then if I spoke with them, I might send them a message like, hey, it was so good to meet you at the business expo, or I just, try to connect. Then it's up to them if they want to accept me or not, but I have to have the business card. Like, I put value on it because my mind's awful.
So, and you can write on them, right? And it's what you just said is another great follow-up tip. When you have that information, you can then go to LinkedIn and request to connect with those people. It's a request. They don't have to do it. You do want to tell them why. You do want to say, thanks for stopping by my booth. Would love to connect with you here. That's a really good thing to do. Now, interestingly, you said, I have a really bad memory, so I take the business card and then I go to LinkedIn and look them up. What if their picture isn't there? Right, because you can't put a face with a face, right? Because there's no face. So the only reason I'm saying that to you is make sure you have a good picture on LinkedIn. It's just my little, right? As the visitor, as the booth visitor. As anybody, what about people who step by your booth and then they decide they want to connect with you on LinkedIn, right? You want to have a professional presence on LinkedIn. You want to have a professional presence everywhere you are, okay? And you want the people surrounding you too. So was there another questions? Yeah.
My question, I'm doing my first expo on Saturday, so I haven't done this yet. But I'm a pastry chef, so I do mini desserts, so I'm trying to think of a good way to get people, besides just saying what's your favorite dessert, or, specializing in like mini pastries for parties and events, but I don't know how to bring that in, so.
So, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say, do you like sweets? It's a bit of a general question, but I think you could say, have you ever, what I was thinking is you could say, have you ever been at an event where they had, big desserts and small desserts?
Right, because I'm trying to get away from the cakes and cupcakes, because those are everywhere. I'm trying to do the other stuff. So I'm trying to, I'll obviously have food out. They'll see, obviously, that I'm doing dessert, but to get it specialized a little bit more.
Yep.
What's your specialty?
Mini desserts, kind of catering type of things, like little bars and cookies and brownies and petit fours, but I don't think a lot of people know what
They
a
don't know what
petit
that
four
is.
That's the fancy chef term.
So actually, let's stop for a second, because what you want to know is, are they a potential client, right? So what you really want to know is, do they do events, right? Is this an event expo? What is the expo?
It's the Circles or Smiles for Sophie at Holy Spirit on Saturday.
Okay.
It's at a church.
Okay.
I think it's fairly small, but.
Okay. It's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Right?
So this will
it's
be
awesome. So I think I would ask, do you put on events?
Okay.
And if so, do you have desserts? If they say, yes, I do, okay, have you had desserts there before? Have you ever had small, the small finger, make it easy for your guests? Yeah. Did you have something for her?
Yes, something for her. That's okay. I'll talk real loud.
Talk into my microphone.
This is cute.
It's cute, isn't it? Here, have a little microphone.
Oh, a little tiny microphone. Well, you have two things. You want them to like your food,
Sure.
but it doesn't do any good if they don't buy your food. So my main concern would be, I would say something about, don't use the word event. Use another word. Are you going to have a party soon? Are you going to have a presentation soon? Okay, so party, presentation, get together. Get together probably covers everybody. And then I would say,
Did you say holidays? Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you-
holiday.
yeah.
Holidays, yeah.
Holidays and get together. Have you ever been disappointed with what the hostesses put out? That's Texas hostess.
Great question.
Here, taste one of these. You won't be disappointed.
That's
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
You're hired on that.
Right. Would you like to work an expo on Saturday?
Well, Saturday.
Those are awesome. See? Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's so great, right? So part of what's great about this is that sometimes it's easier to think for somebody else than it is for yourself. So if you're struggling with this and you're not sure the question to ask, talk to your environment. You know, talk to your supporters, to the people around you, and ask them, you know, what kind of question do you think I could ask that would help me identify if someone was just a looky-loo, right, or if they really are interested in having a conversation with me. Because that's all you care about. You know, like I said before, the truth is there's all different kinds of people who are going to stop by your table. Some just want the tchotchke, right? Some just want to get the TV. Some really care about what you're doing. Those are the only ones you really care about. You want to be nice to everybody, but those are really the only ones you want to be engaging in conversation. What else? Other questions? That was great. You bet. Yes, Misty.
Is it appropriate if you have someone else manning the booth and you're walking around to also solely want to stop at a table for their tchotchkes? What kind of advice would you give to the people who do have a booth and are trying to create a presence there, and how they behave when they are out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Send somebody else to get your tchotchkes. That's what I do. No, I think, right. I have to have it for my daughter. I think it's really okay to say, so, you know, to ask them about what's going on and say, that is so cute, would you mind if I took one? You're allowed to do that. I don't think you should walk up, you know, wait till they turn their back and walk up and, you know, take whatever it is. But there's nothing wrong with asking. You know, what a lot of people will say is, please do, I don't want to have to take these back to the office with me, right? Would you like a bunch of them? You know, so I think it's okay. I think an interesting thing about being an exhibitor and being with other exhibitors is it gives you a great opportunity to meet other people who can be resources for you, okay? And what I mean by that is this. It's not that you necessarily need what they have to offer, but you do need people who you know and trust, who you can be referring people to. And exhibiting at a trade show gives you an opportunity to meet the other exhibitors and learn about them and their business, okay? And you know when you resonate with somebody, you know when you're talking to somebody where you have that good feeling about them, take their business card, start building a relationship with them, because when you're out and about and you're meeting people and you're relationship building with people and they have needs other than the one that you fill, you increase your value dramatically when you can introduce them to someone who you know. All right? You become that trusted resource. You become the person they want to keep around because you care about them. You're not so focused on you. So you have a great opportunity to meet people and get to know them. You know, they're there like you. And hopefully they're doing the same thing with you, but that's also an indicator of whether there's someone who, you know, you would want to be referring people to. You're not going to make the decision that day. Okay? You're going to have to start the relationship building process with them and get to know them to make sure that you really feel like there's someone who you trust. Does that make sense? Absolutely. So there's a lot of great things about exhibiting at a trade show, right? You get to meet the people who are walking through, but you also get to meet the other exhibitors. Don't try and sell to the other exhibitors, okay? They don't want what you have to sell. And if they do, they'll come to your booth and they'll ask you about it. But that's the other thing, you know, don't walk booth to booth to booth and hand out your business card. If you have something to give away, walk booth to booth to booth and give it away if you want to, okay? But that's really not why you're there. And if you're not exhibiting and you're going to go to this thing, don't try and sell to the exhibitors or, frankly, anybody else there, because you didn't pay to exhibit. And it's really annoying to the people who did, even when it's free. It's really annoying to the people who took the time and the energy to do it, to have other people walking in the door and trying to do business with. You know what I mean? Besides the fact that all business is relationship building, it's about relationships and trust, and so it's just not a good practice anyway. Other questions? Anyone else have their question they want to put out there or get help with or share?
I have a question that kind of piggybacks off of what you just said, because I have formed some of my best, business relationships and things like that at different trade shows and expos, because I know that we are all there for the common thing of getting new business. Now, I couldn't agree more with business card. Stop. Because I get frustrated when people do it too.
Right.
But what's your suggestion on if there's somebody there that, say, I really want to meet, or another business really wants to meet me, when would you suggest is a good time to go up to them and approach them? Because, I have a couple different ways that I do it, but I don't want to say it because I want to hear your opinion on what is appropriate.
Yeah, I think if your table's well manned and it's light where they are, you can go over to them and say, I've been wanting to come over here and meet you. I would really like to get to know you and your business better. Would you be open to exchanging cards, and can I, get a hold of you? Can we grab coffee? Right? You can do it at the end when everybody's tearing down. So, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to get in the way of them talking to their prospects, right? And you don't want them getting in the way of you talking to yours. So you don't want to do it at the beginning because they're busy trying to get set up, and you might get like a, sort of harassed sort of sense of them. But when they're tearing down, they're done. And if things are quiet where they are and your table's well taken care of, you can walk up to them and, okay, is that helpful?
Yeah, that's
Okay. Yeah. And definitely do it. As I said, it's about making connections, building relationships, expanding your network in a lot of ways, not just clients. You need those people who know you and trust you, who are going to be out there, who hopefully have a mind like yours, that they have a toolbox of good resources to be able to offer to people. It takes time. Other questions? That was great. Thank you. Yes. Wait for the microphone.
Diane, you mentioned that you give away a free 30-minute, a complimentary 30-minute phone consultation.
Yes, I do.
Do you ever leave these trade shows and are bombarded with people wanting your free time?
Yeah.
I ask that in a sense of,
Then what do you do?
holy cow, now I have to schedule and honor in my follow-up these complimentary 30-minute sessions that I've shelled out, but I also have existing clients who pay for their service, and how do you, any thoughts on that?
Yep. Okay. So the first thing I do is I have time blocked out on my calendar for complimentary sessions, where if I put something else there, then I white it out so people can't sign up for it. The second thing is that I have a scheduling software that I use so that I can send those people a link, and they can look at the open availability and they can schedule it, and then I will honor it because that time was set aside for that anyway. The interesting thing is this. So my methodology is they fill out this, so they put their business card in, and I email them and say, thank you so much for stopping by my booth. You indicated an interest in a 30-minute complimentary phone consultation. Please follow this link to get that scheduled. Okay? Many of them don't. So I could be bombarded at the event, but people go back and they go, well, I'm not quite ready. Well, I don't want to take her time. Well, I'm not really sure what I would talk to her about. Whatever it is, right? I've had people then reach out to me and go, okay, I'm not quite ready. And I say, when you're ready, follow the link. I'm not going anywhere, but that's cool. So it has never been in a place where it is that overwhelming. However, the value of it is I do it because it's great for me to talk to people and help them solve their problem, because either then they're going to want to hire me or they might know someone who will, right? And so and I get to know them to see if there's someone I would want to work with, right? So it's a really great policy. The other thing is I created a signature in my email that has all those words in it. So all I have to do is plug in what the event was and hit send. Put their name in there, right? And hit send. I don't have to write that email every single time, because you can create all different signatures that then you just grab that signature and that's the one that's in there. Okay? So getting set up ahead of time and having that, and the great thing about having those times blocked out is that if people don't sign up for it, now I have time in my business to work on my business, right? Because no one took that space. See what I mean? Is that helpful? Yes. So it's preparing, it's planning. What I used to do is I didn't have that set up, and then I'd be emailing back and forth with people with open days and times, and that's a huge time waster. Okay?
Which software do you use?
I use vCita, vcita.com. It's really great. There's also Calendly, Calendly is another good one. There's another one that's totally escaping me. What is it? No, not Join.me. Time Trader is a good one. It's really easy. You just say which days of the week and what the time blocks are and what the. So, for example, like Monday 2 to 5, I'm open, but it says in there that they're 30-minute blocks. So people are given the option of 30-minute blocks, and they can request, one or a couple of them, and then I accept whichever one makes sense. And then I send them. So then they get a calendar request. And I get it too, and in the calendar request I say, please call and my number at the time of this appointment. It's on them. Okay? So unless I'm going to be traveling and I want to have that flexibility of calling them, it's on them to call. Okay? Awesome. Any other questions? How do you feel?
I put on a trade show, so I want to know how can I let my exhibitors have their best experience? What can I do?
I would say, seriously, give them a checklist, if you can, of things to remember, okay? So it can be the pre-work, the when they're there that day, the follow-up kind of thing, kinds of things to bring.
I was thinking of taking all the things you said and giving them a sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It'd be great. I mean, it would be great for you to offer that to them, want you to have your best, right? And you're sort of warning them, right? You're saying, do it this way if you want to have a good experience. So, yeah, I think that would be great. If you might want to give them connections to resources for, like printing or creating, the giveaway kind of thing or signage or whatever, so that people you trust, right, who maybe you've used, so they don't have to go looking for those sorts of things. Maybe timeline, so ordering these things, you got to give it a couple of weeks to be able to approve it, get it in, have it ready. So maybe another thing on that sheet you could give them is a timeline of when they want to be sure they've got things done so they're ready. Okay, because one of the worst things is waiting for that thing to show up, right? And it's the day of the event and you don't have it. So. Good question. Thank you. Anything else? Yeah, Charlotte.
Just one more.
Yeah.
Not a question, but a comment.
Okay. Do it in the microphone, please.
Yes. I have been to a number of trade shows, and specifically the wedding industry or high-tech industry when I worked for a company. I am amazed at the number of people at these shows who stand there like zombies. I mean, the guys are in their sharp outfits, and the women are looking very professional, but they stand there, and they kind of look around very haughtily, who can I zoom in on?
Yeah.
And this has been a real help. So
good. I'm glad.
I just want to tell you that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. That's the goal, right? Don't be one of those people. You're there for a reason, right? Engage. Have fun. Enjoy it. Okay? So, thank you.